somewhere.
Yep, somewhere. I think usually Nanda will do that too.
Yeah, Nando does that, doesn't he?
Yeah, Nanda does that most of the time.
Mm.
Done.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
Mark.
you, Luisa.
Hey, Mark.
Okay. Yes.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Hi
Hey,
there.
Mark.
Hiya.
Hiya.
So, hello everyone. Welcome to Worldscope Mundane Astrology discussion for the April 2025. You know what? It just feel like last one we was so busy because it was Aries Ingress, and we were so busy with a whole lot of things. But looks like our ringleader, not me. I mean the one in the White House. Don't want to keep this circuit coming. Want to keep this program running, and we couldn't touch it up. And now we have something called what? Harry? And that really caused a lot of problems. Some people say nothing to do with me. Oh, you will see. You will see. Very soon you will see the things you buy, the iPhone, the computer, your car, everything will be very different price. And then today we will focus on this. We'll lead by Luisa and Mark. And then after that, Anna is going to share with us a few incident around the last couple months. And then if we have time, we will have a quick look on Israel and Palestine. So let's begin. Shall I would say hello. I haven't said hello to everyone. Okay. Hello, Mark. Hello, Luisa. Hello, Lianne. Hi, Joli. Hi, Anna. Well, today Liz and Nando couldn't make it. So, and also Maria and Grace, they are all a little bit busy. So, but I'm sure I still have to control the room in order to finish it with 1.5 hours. So how about Luisa, you start, and then when you finish, I will send it to Mark, okay?
Okay, here we go. So
here we are. Yeah.
Everybody seeing my screen this
yep.
time? So I call this reflections on U.S. imposed trade barriers, because you've all known me as an astrologer, but I also have an MBA, and I also have a definite link with market crashes. I was in a financial management class doing my MBA in 1987 during the 1987 market crash. I was also living in the United States in 2008. So I do have a big connection with all this. Well, so tariffs, it's a way of speaking, but in fact, we are all the countries are applying trade barriers, because we are going to hear about quotas, we are going to hear about embargoes, and we are going to hear about subsidies. Okay, so I actually timed when he started talking about tariffs, and it was at 4:10. And this is the chart. And it's a gorgeous chart because it shows trade, Mercury, next to Venus, finance, and next to Bearius, Saturn. So the whole thing is, if we were doing orrery astrology, we'd call a radical chart. The subject is in the chart. Okay. And then I looked around what other astrologers were saying, and I found this Australian astrologer saying maybe Trump has an astrologer, because if he had started on time, the ascendant would be at 1 Virgo, which is very close to his ascendant, and there is where Regulus is. So that would be great for him. Well, from the traditional astrology point of view, it's a total disaster, because Jupiter and Mercury rule the ascendant descendant. They are in detriment. And although the Mercury-Saturn aspect does not perfect, because later Mercury turned retrograde before joining Saturn. And if we apply this to the concept of trade barriers, maybe they are not so much of a trade barrier. They are an inconvenience, but the aspect did not perfect. On the other hand, Venus will perfect the conjunction with Saturn. Actually did on April 7. And you guys know what happened on April 7, don't you? If you don't, I will remind you. Okay. So, and this is what that astrologer said. Okay. So basically, the ascendant is conjunct Regulus. Uranus is on the midheaven. Who cares about Algol? We don't care about those things. But is on the midheaven, so this is going to be a great change. And besides that, he has Jupiter closing in on Uranus, and then closing in on his sun. Everything is going to be fantastic. Mars is closing in on Venus, transiting Mars is closing in on Venus. And so his strong desires are going to be visible to all. I would assume that somebody thought that, and somebody thought about that and actually maybe told Trump. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's just a hypothesis. Is this, Jody, is this the chart you were looking for?
It's a little bit different, but I love what you're bringing up, Luisa, because I mean, just looking, for example, at you've got Mars in the tariff announcement chart. That's like motion and movement. And then you've got Donald Trump's Saturn. So I obviously would be the astrologer with the opposing view that actually look at the mess you are making. Because, also it's Donald Trump's North Node that is coming to Jupiter. And, yes, we talk about Jupiter being the benefic, but it can also, in its extreme, be excess. And I don't think too many people would argue outside of the US that he's overstepped the mark. He's overbaked it. He's overdone it. And one thing I will mention, if anyone's interested, a lot of people are saying that Trump doesn't have a game plan. He is loosely basing this on a paper written by a man named Stephen Moran, Miran. In this paper, he is talking about how you would gradually raise tariffs against China and bring your allies along to face China as a bloc. And of course, Trump has blown this up. He's taken the bare bones of the paper, but not applied any of its logic. So I'll just leave it at that. But Luisa, I love this chart. I mean, how amazing, right?
Okay. So the tariffs go into effect because now they say, no, they are not. This is just the reciprocal effect, the taxes. The actual taxes, meaning everybody gets 10%, plus that was a blanket tariff, then 25% on cars, steel, and aluminum. That, in fact, went into effect on the 5th of April, which is a Saturday, at midnight. Okay, so what is different in this chart? Again, if you are into traditional astrology, you see the rule. First of all the angles now are ruled by planets in detriment. So you have Jupiter ruling Sagittarius and Pisces, and you have Mercury ruling Virgo and Gemini. Then you have the ruler of the ascendant in the 7th house. So if this was a dating game, it would probably be very good. But as many people know, we call the seventh house the house of the open enemies. So having the ruler of the ascendant of me in the open enemies, it's not such a great thing, right? Talking about the game plan, Jody?
Well, I mean, again, seventh house is also contracts and negotiations. Jupiter in detriment is not doing it the way it should be done. So
Yeah.
I agree.
And then there are some astrologers. I've been doing a lot of research. I was definitely a bit out of my usual calmness, then did a lot of research, saying, oh, there is this sextile between the past and the future, between Saturn and Uranus, that's going to be so good. It's precise. It's fantastic. And somehow, I don't usually use Aries a lot, but yeah, maybe let's put Aries in. And although it doesn't show because of how the houses are divided, but it's the midpoint, the exact midpoint between Saturn and Uranus. Exact. So the goddess of discord. Who is the goddess of discord?
Eris.
Aries. And who is incarnate the goddess of discord? Okay. And that's, so I'm not sure about those people who say that the saving grace is Saturn and Uranus sextile, period. Okay. Speaking of the manic, I get a call from a friend of mine who knows a little bit about astrology, but she happens to be a clinical psychologist, and saying, I saw Trump on the TV, and his movements look like he's having a hypomanic episode. What do you think? It's, well, I know his chart. I'm pretty sure you're right. So I went to the internet, and for everybody who's watching, these are the characteristics of a hypomaniac episode, which is basically what Jody was saying. The Jupiter, it's not such good luck, and the Jupiter is out of control, and this is it. Decreased need for sleep, he's racing around, ideas, grandiose beliefs, unusually talkativeness. And then I follow a woman who posts on Facebook, and she's a political historian called Heather Cox Richardson. And she said that on April 7, somebody, the National Republican Congressional Committee asked him to do a dinner remark. And he spoke for 2 hours, right? 2 hours, 2 hours. Increased self-confidence, unusual talkativeness, the whole thing. And where he said that fantastic phrase where everyone is going to beg, and he used the term sir. Please, sir, please make a deal. I'll do anything. Sir, sir. So we are in royalty. We are in Regulus territory. We are in hypomaniac territory. Now, I just brought this slide because I thought, my friend who gave me a call, I thought, you should actually see how these things fit. Jupiter is the cause for a hypomaniac episode, period. Okay, let's go back. So on April 3rd, the S&P 500 nosedived, then there was a further decline, and then on the 7th, Venus conjunct Saturn, and Mercury is stationary. And then the volatility index goes through the roof. The volatility index, it's a difficult calculation. No need to explain it, but it's an index. And you can see it's locally called, the traders call it the fear index. That's how you feel fear in general. It's through the volatility index. And you can see that it spiked on 2008. The prime mortgage rate things, and then it spiked again on with COVID. And now it's usually going around, some days more volatile than others, and now it spiked again. It hasn't spiked as tall as the others, but who knows, right? You know. So when he reversed the reciprocal tariffs, things calmed down and the stock market went up considerably. As you can see here, this is the S&P 500. So it came down, and then reciprocal tariffs eliminated, it went up, but not as much up as you wanted to. And this is a total case of possible insider trading, because this happened in 3 consecutive days. So sell when it's, buy when it's low, and then I'll make the announcement that there will be no reciprocal tariffs and the stock market will shut up. Okay. So the stock market will eventually become stable and adjusting to the conditions. So I only thought that this was fun to show, because the day that Venus joined Saturn with Mercury stationary was the day of the volatility and the day of the big loss. You know, who says that these things don't work? Okay. So what happens is that everybody's saying that he is premeditated, he knows what he's doing, that Joli said he's following that paper, and then he comes out with another idea. And the other idea was to reverse the tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs. Meanwhile, all the major currencies gain over the dollar. We call the safe currency the Swiss franc. So this is the chart for the Swiss franc. This is the chart for the euro, the yen. It's not, there's no point in showing the chart for the yuan, because it's heavily interventioned and the Chinese won't let it go wild. And even the insider says that he's obsessed with doing deals, but when the dollar starts falling, there's something he has to do. So I don't really know about his plan, but the dollar is falling. Okay. So I wanted to bring back what we discussed on the Aries Ingress. And remember that we had Uranus for Washington on the IC, and Pluto on the ascendant. And if I remember correctly, it was Liz who pointed out that that if it's a fixed ascendant, the chart is good for a year. Remember that? Wouldn't you have liked another ascendant? Yeah.
Can I just add that ascendant more or less falls on the Sibley chart's south node?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting to that. Yeah. So I want to remember that. And then people say, okay, this is the Aries ingress in Neptune. There is ingress, the Neptune ingress in Aries. I'm sorry. Okay. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I never thought it did work until COVID. And when COVID started, I did the ingress in Pisces. And well, of course, we couldn't tell in 2011, but Chiron was on the IC in a city in China that no one until then had known about, called Wuhan. So maybe we should do the Ingress charts for slow-moving planets. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Lianne?
I do agree. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I use, excuse me, I use them all the time, and I think they're very, very significant. I'm going to use them in Portugal. in
For Washington. And then
yeah.
with astrocartography, it doesn't matter where.
No, I'm saying I'm when I come to Portugal to the conference to do my
okay.
talk, I'm using this as yeah, absolutely. I use them all the time. So yeah, totally agree.
So again, Neptune Ingress chart has, for the United States, Mars on the IC. Okay. So we have one more ingress, right? And here I don't see much.
Angular.
I don't see much of anything. But I did the astrocartography, and the big enemies, Asia, they all are between Uranus on the MC and Jupiter on the MC, and the sun goes straight on the MC through South Korea. So, these is the real barriers. This is the fight over barriers, Aries, Saturn. Okay. So I looked a little bit more if this chart could be significant. Not the one for Washington, but maybe the one that I'm not showing here for all those places that are now under this very nice Uranus, Mercury, Sun, Jupiter, and even the North Node in this chart. And then, what do you think it's odd about this picture? Have you ever seen trade ministers, in this case, trade ministers from China, Japan, and South Korea, really countries that are pals, taking a picture, holding hands, like what? Teenage girls? Rod, can you please comment?
Can I just, before Rod says anything, I just want to add that Trump in the last certainly a few weeks has really managed to bring people who are foes together in alliance. And I mean, even, we saw it way back when in Canada, people from Quebec have historically been not happy with the Canadian state. And yet when Trump attacked Canada, the Quebecois were like, don't do that to our country. It's mind-blowing. But sorry, Rod, I didn't mean to jump in front of you.
No. I mean, it's just a very interesting comment. Yes, this is a very unusual, especially between South Korea and Japan. That is like a cat and dog. Well, between Japan and China, that is cat and dog. You bring two sets of a cat and dog together, like what do you say? The Luisa, you say teenage girls. Yes, they like the boy band now. They are bound together. They are bound together. They're going to on the stage together now. And yes, you're right. And I just saw Anna raising her hand.
I think this it was like a subtle message to the US, because this was on the 30th of March. I mean, the head shows it was the 30th of March, the day Neptune enters Aries. This is the day of the picture. And
Luisa,
go ahead.
yeah.
Yes, in the chart of the Neptune return, the moon was in 24 of Aries, which is Aries. Aries. And Aries has to do with the apple, and New York is the big apple. and Aries is squares it is positor with Mars, and Mars is in fall. So fall, big apple, everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
We can go.
Yeah, that's the.
I mean, I was trying to rush this, but
yeah.
I mean, these charts are excellent.
Yeah.
Come on, Lianne, comment.
Yeah. Lianne?
Lianne?
Yeah, I love that photo. Can we go back to that photo of them holding hands, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Excuse me. Because it's like a brotherhood. People are coming together because America we could no one can depend on America anymore, can they? It's like this Saturn Neptune thing, the bubble has burst, and nations and continents and the likes of the EU and Asia will have to come together in their own brotherhoods and seek their own autonomy. And it's very Pluto and Aquarius. Society becomes fractured, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we are seeing the fracturing. And then as a result of that, we have these brotherhoods formed. And I just saw that photo and I thought, that's Pluto and Aquarius. And Saturn, the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries, and it's in orb most of this year. Saturn and Neptune are so close together. That's the catalyst. That is the trigger for the bigger picture of the Pluto and Aquarius, and then the even bigger picture of Eris in Aries, which is an agent for change, and Trump is the collective agent for change at the minute, isn't he? He is he is manifesting Eris on every level. And I think ultimately, yeah, the world's changing whether we like it or not. The global economy probably needed a good shake-up. It's just the way it's being done, which is
Yeah. I
like,
mean, globalization is not
yeah,
a solution, but
yeah,
that's it. Jody,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah.
Joli, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention a couple of pieces, and that is, going back to the strategy. And right after the tariff cuts, what Trump wanted was the Fed to cut rates. Meanwhile, the biggest creditors of the US are Japan with over $1 trillion. Trillion, sorry, yeah, trillion,
Trillion.
yeah, of US debt, holding US treasuries. And then the next one is China.
China.
So you have these
With a
two
mere 750
with
billion.
a mere.
Mere.
And so they started dumping these treasuries, and you saw the yield go down, and there's an inverse relationship between the yield and the interest rate. When the yield goes down, interest rate goes up, not what Trump wanted.
I didn't bring that chart because it's too technical, but
I
the
mean, it's
fact
just
is the devaluation of the dollar, and then the devaluation of the dollar and the yields and the interest rates, and the first ones that go up is the mortgage rates, and they went up today to 7%.
which is crazy. But I mean, the bottom line, just to make it super simple, is the idea that Trump wanted interest rates to come off, and his machinations have made interest rates go the other way. So in very simple terms, oh my God, I'm starting to talk like Trump. This is awful. It's just how much I'm watching him. In very simple terms, he has brought about the very thing that technically he didn't want. Now, I'm just going to add one point to this, and that is it's actually not him so much. People like Scott Bessent and whatever around him are the ones with a plan. I am holding that Trump himself, all he wants is two things: money and attention. And he doesn't care if, in fact, the more chaos there is, the better. So, when you keep that in mind, it really does change how you view and parse these things.
Yeah. But meanwhile, things go on, both in the sky, and tomorrow it's the famous sextile with Aries in the middle. Then the confusion that will going to come and increase with Mercury approaching Neptune. And then we have on the 24th, the last Saturn Venus conjunction, and then Mars opposed Pluto, and so on and so on and so on. And then Saturn and Neptune are close for months. They never actually perfect, they're close for months. Meanwhile, Trump inflationary transits are at the max. You know, between Mars and Jupiter and Uranus, there you go. Between April, May, and June, fantastic. Everything is good. And he is not going to back down unless something very horrible happens due to the dates that we are watching. But I'm not making predictions. I'm just
Yeah,
saying that
well, you don't need
this,
to because the Simpson already predicted tomorrow.
yeah, well, okay.
Sorry.
So you have his solar return here. And I'm not very, I don't do a lot of work with transiting nodes, but from a general way, the transiting nodes on his solar return are on the ascendant descendant axis. Doesn't this bring something karmic? Hmm? Just saying. I'm just pointing to things. Of course, we could talk about this chart like for an hour, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. So, what is to watch? What should we be watching? I think forget about the stock market and all that and all the interest rates. Crude oil is for me the best indicator of how things are going because we are now at the $60 range, and if it goes down below 60, it rings bells. The people start doing things. The feds, whatever, people start getting nervous. But this is a monthly chart, and it came down for a little bit below 60, and today was at 60. And if you want to watch something, watch the price of crude. Okay. So now I keep reading the Heather Cox Richardson, and she says that besides all this incidental little things like putting trade barriers, what the Republican Party wants is to emphasize the myth of the true American. We are talking about the cowboy myth, the individual who is a loner, who doesn't need the community, who doesn't need government, who dominates others. And if somebody doesn't agree, they just kill him. Okay. And of course they need the tread wife, like Vance describes, because they need the wife who's at home, etc. So they are in fact destroying all the programs that um, uh, that are about cooperation, that about community, so that the strong men still that idea, I'll get back to the factories, I'll back to manual work. That's what real men do. That's how they actually show they're strong. And and I found that was very interesting. I think this woman is very interesting in what she says, because Joli, if we put Neptune use the Sibley chart, now we have the destruction of the American myth, in my opinion. As you, Joli, said, we have Neptune approaching the south node, and we have Pluto approaching the south node, and Neptune soon to be joined by Saturn on the IC. So the big picture, besides the finance, was this Republican myth that they've been working on for 40 years, the strongman, the cowboy myth. Except the world is not a cowboy and is not run by cowboys anymore. And we tend towards cooperation, as we saw all the other countries joining in. So I thought I'd finish with that. It's a little bit besides the point, but there you go. With the Aries Neptune. Okay. So guys, that
Thank
was
you.
it.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you, Luisa. Well, Luisa's presentation gave me some few idea, and well, before I hand it to Mark, I want to show you two charts. Is the historical chart, the one chart I'm talking about, the tariff of abomination in the 1828. That was the historical high, the highest tariff they ever put on in the history, and then come to the second in the 1930s. Look at these two charts. It's so interesting. And why I was thinking I should show this chart after Mark gave his talk, but give his presentation. But suddenly when Luisa talked about the American myth, about independent, about tough, because the first one, this one was against Europe, was against the European steel and medication and nearly everything. And look at this, Uranus and the Mercury. That was so interesting. Okay, the inner chart is 1828 when Adam signed the tariff on the 1828, and then the outer veil was I used the Luisa's 1610 because I couldn't find the exact time, so I just say, oh, Luisa has provided time, so I use it. Very interesting. Have you looked at this? And then you see in this side, Uranus was in 2-degree Aquarius, and the Pluto is now on there. That. I was just like, I have to show it because so interesting. That was so interesting. Yeah. And then, Joli, yes.
I just wanted to add very quickly that if
Yeah,
you
of course.
look at Donald Trump's midheaven,
Yeah, 28. Oh, yes.
it's 24 degrees Taurus.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is funny. All right, let me show you another chart just very quickly. This one is the tariff of the where it is. Ooh. It's 90 or it's 1030. Okay, I lost it. Anyway, I think I should have it when I open it here. 1930. Oops, I think I lost it. Sorry. So anyway, I think with the 1930s chart, but I think I lost it. I thought I saved it, but anyway, so I should just give it to Mark first. So Mark, do you want to share or should I share for you? You're mute.
I was saying, my luck with sharing is not too brilliant, but I'll have a go. Just give me a minute.
Try it.
Yeah, let's try for it. Let's try for it.
Whilst Mark is bringing that up, I just want to briefly mention that with solar returns, when you see a planet returning to its natal position, the in medieval Islamic astrology, we say that the planet is taking bayat. It's retaking its oath
Ooh,
to
I like it.
bring into manifestation the natal promise. And Trump's, just as Luisa showed us, Trump's Mercury is returning almost exactly to his natal Mercury. And you have Mars returning to his basically his natal Mars. So make of that what you will.
Okay, Mark.
Am I screen sharing?
Yeah, I think
It says I am.
Yeah,
It
you
says
are.
I am.
Yes.
Okay. Well, clearly I didn't do enough research before tonight because Louisa's time's not the same one I was using. I was using the 4 p.m. time for everything, so that's obviously a bit out. But never mind. There you go. Let's just try and see how I can get rid of all the attendees on my screen. That's it.
Mark, it was announced for 4 p.m. and I was out watching. So he came in.
No, I'm sure you're right. I just didn't bother to do any research.
But that was the announced time. And that's why the astrologer in Australia thought it was because of the ascendant. He came in 6 minutes later and stopped to talk to every workman on his way from the door to the podium. So He actually started at 10.
Yeah, I can't see my presentation now. I can only see all the
We
participants.
can see yours. We can see your presentation. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I can't. There's not much
Oh.
use. I can't see what I'm doing.
We have the announcement, and
Okay, well that's out anyway, slightly, but not to worry. Okay, so yes, it's been pointed out. I mean, obviously the 24 Uranus picks up Trump's ascendant, which sorry, midheaven, which is pretty critical. I quite like the 26 Taurus because obviously that was picking up that would have been picking up his Mars as well, in a square as well. So that would have been quite nice. But that's going on there. But let's try and move on to the next screen. It's not transitioning. It's not moving. Maybe you better do it, Rod. Maybe you better put
Okay.
it up. It's very much joy.
Should I? Okay, no problem.
Yeah, it's not
Yes.
playing ball.
No worry.
It's
No worry.
not transitioning
Okay.
to the next page.
Don't worry. You stop sharing, and I will go for it from here. All right, this one, right? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just get rid of one. Check out, get rid.
make
You
it
usually
full
can't.
screen. Just make it full screen.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah, so here it was obviously a bit further away from his ascendant, so than I thought it was, but you know, still quite interesting. And also the Mars, the transiting Mars to his Saturn as well. Both of them debilitated, of course, in Cancer. Both the transiting Mars and that, which kind of shows a maybe self-destructive side of the whole thing, basically, the self-exploding kind of aspect of the whole plan, basically, that might be implicit in it in some respects. But yeah, that was all. Just going to do that. Next one. So couldn't help thinking about China, obviously. And it's so graphic, isn't it? What's going on with the Chinese chart and how this announcement ties into transits to the China chart. I mean, Pluto literally on the moon of the Chinese chart, as we can see, transiting Pluto there, very close to that degree. And Uranus, well, I mean, these have been obvious for a while, but I suppose it's becoming clearer how they're going to manifest. Everybody was debating how is this going to work in the Chinese chart? Is it going to be an attack on Taiwan or whatever? And let's hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, the transiting Uranus on the IC of the Chinese chart as well is obviously rather prominent, and it kind of indicates the kind of complete volatility and unpredictability of this whole situation for the Chinese economy to have to adapt. I mean, some people are saying China has planned rather a lot better than it did for his last tariffs, which he carried out in his last presidential term. And indeed, their economic trade with America apparently has gone down quite a bit. I think is it 13% it's gone down to in terms of the trade. I think they're saying it's only like something like 2 to 3% of Chinese GDP is actually affected by it, but still, you can see it being very dramatic for exports to America for electrical goods and all the rest of it. The Chinese
Mark,
having a
yeah. Both Joli and Luisa raised their hands, so when you finish, invite them to join
yeah. But I mean, obviously, China has a control of various things. We're talking about China's control of the US Treasury bonds, and maybe that's partly why Trump had to back wheel a little bit. I mean, the Japanese are said to have perhaps sold off quite a lot. I know it's actually the UK has actually got a bit of an angle here as well. We've actually got as many as bonds virtually as China. So maybe that's just an angle Starmer could use, a card Starmer could use. Pull the plug on the US economy, but I don't think that would help us very much, probably. Anyway, so that's going on there. What else have we got? Just obviously just activating the Chinese chart. I just thought it was interesting to see that really. I don't see anything more obvious.
Should we invite Joli and Luisa?
Just a quick comment that you'll notice the Trump tariff sun in Aries is falling on China's North Node. And to Mark's point, you're exactly right. The US is only 12.5% of the Chinese export market, and it's only 3% of their GDP. So
Yeah.
they have baked in the lessons from Trump 1, and they are completely prepared. Throw in, we don't have time to go over this, but throw in JD Vance's, we're, borrowing from Chinese peasants and buying from Chinese peasants. I mean, what a stupid thing to say. They're just insulting China right, left, and center, and then demanding that they get respect. So none of it adds up. But I think that sun falling on China's North Node says a lot, because it's literally saying, we're putting a spotlight on the head of the dragon, and dragon is a symbol of China. So
Mm.
What
Luisa?
It does remind me a bit of Margaret Thatcher in a way, which before she went into a fight with the miners, the year-long strike, she'd built up coal supplies for quite a long time. And it's just that the Chinese have actually been preparing for this for quite a long time because they knew Trump was going to do this, I think. Obviously, from his last term, it was not exactly a secret. And I know we're talking about taking on the whole world here. I think the real existential threat for America is obviously China, the economy that really probably will supplant it at some point later in the century, and is going very close to doing that. So, yeah, of course, the other thing, of course, with Trump's crazy plans, I mean, he's perhaps some of the tariffs on some of the countries like Vietnam and Indonesia, I guess that's explained by the fact that China's obviously opened up loads of factories in all these other countries, so they can export to America from other countries. They don't have to just export from China. But
Well,
he's obviously,
what happened? I just wanted to pick up on what Joli said, that Pluto on the moon, except they don't have elections in China, and the people in China follow pretty much. I mean, they have much more resilience for
yeah,
economic pain. And
yeah,
one thing that I only read the other day was that the Chinese need soy for their gazillion pigs, and they said we are not importing anymore, not paying tariffs, and we're just buying in Brazil.
yeah. It's one for the BRICS.
Yeah, Lianne?
Yeah, hi. This is really fascinating, and I think China is going to be the key sort of player in this this game of chess that the world is playing at the minute with Trump. But Pluto on China's moon, yeah, that's very obvious. But China's moon forms a quincunx with Uranus. Okay, we see Uranus at 4 degrees of Cancer, which sits right on top of the US Sibley's Venus and Jupiter, which sit at 3 and 5 of Cancer. So China absolutely has the potential to be the most disruptive party in Trump's plan. If Trump does have a plan, I think Trump wings it and makes it up as he goes along type thing. I think he starts with the plan and then it just gets completely scattered because he's got all that mutable energy in the opposition, that Gemini Sagittarius opposition that he has. So yeah, I think that the synastry there between China and the Sibley chart is very interesting. And yeah, and there's very much a moon Uranus thing going on here, because if Uranus is on the Chinese IC at the minute. The IC is very Cancer, isn't it? It's the 4th house of moon and Cancer. So there's a very moon Uranus thing going on. And I think China are very much protecting their own interests and their own people here. Obviously, everyone's going to be doing that. So yeah, I think Trump's got everyone reacting.
Even Anna.
Yeah, it is. People are reacting from a mix of emotions and fear and just complete. I don't know. It's crazy.
Should I invite Anna? Anna, your
Yes,
comment?
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this what mentioned Lianne, very interesting about the Uranus of China is the antition of the Mars of Trump. So it's exacerbating this relationship with Trump with China. And also Mars will be in Leo. In the first degree in Leo will be in antition with Uranus, transit Uranus. And then at the end of Mars in Leo, it will be squaring Uranus. So the participation of Mars in the sign of Leo will be critical at the beginning and critical at the end as well. And it will hit that the descendant of China, and of course, this Mars and Pluto of China as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Mark, should we continue?
Yeah, I just wanted to look at a few stock market charts just to have
Yeah.
a look. I know some people are skeptical about them, but yeah, as is astrology's way, there's no consensus on the traditional chart for the US stock market. There's the Louise McWhirter time, which I put down there. I sometimes think it's just a symbolic chart because the ascendants on the US sun in the 4th of July charts, whether you use Sibley or Scorpio rising or whatever you use.
Interesting.
So I wonder if that's symbolic. But anyway, I don't really fix too much on that. But I do think, and this is something I do like repetitive things that come up. And 27 in Taurus is very interesting because last year I was using Uranus to kind of predict volatility in the stock market. So when we had the volatility, I don't know if you remember, the stock market went down, I think, about 1,000 last August points. There was a bit of a scare then before these recent ones. And Uranus has been obviously going retrograde since then, and it's becoming direct again. So I can't help wondering when we get to May, when Uranus finally goes over that US stock market sun, if we're going to see something even more dramatic. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And my reason for thinking that maybe is if I skip a couple of charts, if we skip a couple of slides,
Okay.
there's actually another chart for the US stock market, which I don't
Where
think
should I go?
not the next one, but the one after.
This one?
Yeah. No, sorry, one after that. Sorry. It's the 1817.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1817.
There's an 1817 chart, which interestingly,
Okay,
no,
sorry.
that's the Nasdaq. No,
Sorry.
not that, not those, not that. Other
Here we
way,
are. Here.
other way.
Here we are.
Okay, this chart basically is interesting because this is probably closer to being timed, although we're not absolutely sure. But 10 a.m. was approximately the time the stock market opened in the 19th century in the US, although it didn't have continuous trading then. But anyway, 27 Scorpio is the degree there. So I think that's just such a coincidence. So you've got the moon in one chart for the stock market at 27 fixed, and then you've got at the other end of the other end of the zodiac, you've got the sun in the 1792 chart. Now in May, we've also got Saturn going into Aries, and I think that might be quite significant because there's another chart. I won't go into the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's basically got Uranus squaring its nodes at the moment. It's also got, by solar arc, Pluto squaring the Nasdaq nodes as well. But I want to just finish off quickly. I'm not going to spend too long. Just skip to a couple of charts to the last chart, the Federal Reserve chart, which is the very last one. So this is when President Wilson signed the instrument for the setting up of the Federal Reserve, which is basically the US central bank, like the Bank of England, effectively. Slightly different model, obviously, but it's the same thing. And obviously, you can't help noticing, and we've got a time for this because it was recorded. So, and obviously, the MC's on 0 Aries, where Neptune is transiting now. So when we get Saturn going over that degree, I do think that's again in May. I do think that's going to be a very interesting time to watch to see what's happening. Not going to make any predictions here, but well, I've already predicted the stock market would go anyway. I predicted what was happening now last year, so that's not really. But a lot of people were saying the same thing anyway, so that's not original. But yeah, I think keep an eye out in May when that transit happens. We've also obviously got Saturn going over the node as well, but I think the true node. But I think the ingress of Saturn into Aries should be very interesting to watch.
All right. So, Luisa, we want to comment and then followed by Lianne.
Okay, this is just, did you notice when the Federal Reserve was approved. It's
Yeah, this is according to the presidential records when it was signed.
yeah, but there is a story about it. There is a story
Ah,
about
okay.
like the one.
What not Ray
Yeah.
Merriman's story.
It's the 23rd of December. The representatives were already leaving for the holidays at night. The 23rd of December in Washington. It's pretty dark. It has been dark for a while. So it was like a coup to pass the Federal Reserve.
Mm.
Interesting. Thank you.
There
Lianne?
is another chart. There is another chart for the Federal Reserve for when it actually became operational, and I think that's 24 Scorpio, which is kind of like again being hit off by the Uranus transit.
Yeah.
So I haven't put that chart up, but
this chart is valid. This is the one,
Mhm.
because of the coup, some of them had already left. People were far away. They were going to spend Christmas at home. The representatives were gone. It was not a full house that approved the Federal Reserve.
Okay, interesting. Lianne, your comment?
Yes. Yeah, I think this is a really interesting chart because there's a Sun-Pluto opposition forming a cardinal T-square with the midheaven. You've got the Sun at 1 Capricorn and Pluto at 0 Cancer. Yeah. So that T-square is going to be triggered by the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So I think you're going to see the Federal Reserve, the whatever it is, it's going to be transformed from the inside out, because essentially there's a cardinal grand cross with the IC as well. So all that Sun Pluto energy in this chart is going to be triggered, and I think its future direction is going to go through an evolutionary process for sure. Yeah. But I think, and that's just going to be kind of projected into the rest of the world, because Trump has set in process economic change, whether we like it or not. So, yeah, I think this is a really interesting chart to keep following. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you, Lianne, and thank you, Mark, for bringing this interesting with the tariff together with all this historical and the reserve. That Federal Reserve chart is so interesting to look. And I agree with you. That 24-degree Taurus Scorpio must be something there. That is so interesting.
as well. 27. Look out for 27.
Yeah, 27. Yes, yeah. It's very interesting. Well, I will hand it time to Anna now. So, Anna, what do you bring us today?
Tragedies. Tragedies. Yes. Let me. Do you see it, please?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. So, well, the first one is about Egypt. This tragedy that happens at the same time that happened the earthquake in Myanmar and Thailand. But I wanted to have a look at this event. So it happens in the 27th of March at around 10 local time. So this is the chart of Egypt, and there is Ingress for Hurghada, which is the city that happens this accident. Well, we can see here in the chart of Egypt, whose ascendant is in the last degree of Aries. And we have here in the axis, the vertical axis, Chiron and Mercury over there. And here, Neptune very close to, no, not so close to the descendant. But anyway, the Aries Ingress for this year, for the city Hurghada, the midheaven is the 12th house of the country. And we can see here a lot of planets in the 10th house, and yes, in the 10th house. Well, that's for now. Okay. So if we cast the bi-wheel, the Aries Ingress in the chart of the country Egypt, we have the Pluto is close to the north node, the south node with the moon, Mars at the bottom of the chart, and the ascendant of the Aries Ingress is in connection with the Sun, Mars of the chart, and a lot of planets in the 12th house. And we can see that these tensions are created in this great square, the grand square. So in the moment of the event, the moon was in exactly degree of the midheaven, exactly. And Chiron and Mars were together in a square. I understand that Neptune is with the fixed star shed. That is a complicated star that brings disgraces, and Mars with Pollux. I'm just read these positions. Okay, so if we cast the chart of the event with the chart of Egypt, again, which has little difference with the Aries Ingress because it happens only some few days, we can see that the tons of planets that are located in the 12th house is very, very significant. And again, well, with Mars in a sharp, the same degree squaring Chiron, in opposition to Neptune and activating this natal opposition as well. Now we move to another country. This is the inauguration of my curtains. Okay. Yes, this is the tragedy that happens this week, in Tuesday, very early in the Tuesday, because it was the Monday of dancing merengue in Dominican Republic. This is the discotheque that has this tragedy. More than 200 people died, included a famous singer and some famous people around the artistic area. Okay, so we have the chart of Dominican Republic. And well, we observe here that in the 5th house, which has to do with the house that it has to do with fun, is the most festive chart, has Uranus and the conjunct alignment of both axes, the nodal axis with vertex. When I observe South Node with vertex, I recall sudden losses. It's a very sudden losses. And this Uranus is in trine with the ascendant of the country. Okay, and this is the Aries Ingress for Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic, which has the moon at the top of the chart, and planets here. But when we observe the moment of the event, we can have that, we see here that we have Chiron at the bottom of the chart, and the moon squares Uranus in the same degree, in the same degree. And then when we see the chart of the event in contrast to the Aries Ingress, it's practically the same. The only thing that made a difference is that the moon traveled to this side of the chart and created a conjunction with the vertex as well, and took the descendant of the chart and square Uranus. And Neptune now was in the degree of the sun. When we see here the transits of the event with the chart of the country, we have that this Uranus that was had a square with the moon, was in contact with Chiron of the country. And the moon and vertex was in contact with the sun and north nodes. The sun and north node, yes. And of course, it happens that Neptune squared the natal Neptune of the country. So a very painful events today.
Thank you, Anna.
I think Mark has
Yes, Luisa.
I think Mark was first.
Oh, okay. Yep, Mark, you mute.
It's okay. I just wasn't sure why we were getting the Dominican Republic at first. I didn't know what the news story was. But I got
Okay.
it now. I've got it now.
Okay.
it was a discotheque that whose ceiling fall down and kill people inside.
These were tourists in a submarine. These were people having fun, and now tourists in a helicopter in New York there was an accident, they were all killed.
Yeah.
And, I don't know when you start picking up on that one, but it was, again, the same theme. If we go tourists, they are having a good time. It's entertainment. It's a different kind of entertainment. So it's not just all this is mixed up here.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think it has to do with Saturn and Neptune as well, because Neptune is kind of festivity and pleasure, and the dead is there.
Yeah.
And the dead is very close to musicians, actors, and everything related with having fun. I guess that is what is bringing, apart from all the other transits about Pluto in Aquarius and everything. But it seems that
similarities, archetypal similarities of
yes, it has to do with the
having a good
fall.
time.
It
Yeah.
has to do with the fall. Mars is in its fall, and Saturn would be in its fall as well. So everything that has to do with the spirit will go down, and the Saturn, the structure will go down. It also happened in Peru a month ago. A mole who was round like a moon, the ceiling fall down, kill people,
Landslide.
family. So it's about the falls. It's a very painful story this time, but they happen in a minute. So this helicopter in New York happened yesterday, so I couldn't track and make a presentation on that. But this is something that is really happening all the time. Whenever I'm ready to present something, there is another event before.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you, Anna, for your interesting, and a very amazing presentation. Always appreciated. And
I forgot to say something about these tariffs.
Yeah.
And tariffs and all trade barriers is that the Uranus is always present because we really cannot figure out what is going to happen. What are the unintended consequences? And I have a small anecdote, and the guys who are going to be in Porto will like this anecdote.
Yeah.
So we always produced wine in the north of Portugal. And there was always British traders because we have we've all been trading partners for ages. And then the Minister of Finance of Louis XIV, Colbert, put tariffs on English goods. Charles II decided to boycott all French wine. So where would they get the red wine the British were used to drinking? In Portugal. So the success of port wine is due to Colbert tariffs.
Thank you for the tariff, and thank you for the fun fact. That's lovely. Always good to know that.
It's representative of the Uranus in the chart of the tariffs, unintended consequences.
Amazing. Hi, Anna.
Yes, in general, what I observed that this is the prelude of what will come next year. Next year, USA will have its sesquicentennial anniversary, which means 250 years, which means another Chiron return, by the way, because every 50 is around Chiron return. And also Chiron, I think that it will be in Taurus. So I think that Chiron will step into Taurus. So I think that everything that has to do with resources, money, currency, legal tender will be clearly seen as consequences of what is happening now.
Yeah. Okay. I was prepared for you chat of Israel and Palestine, but I decide. Sorry, I like a surprise to Uranus time. I would like to shift somewhere else. Why? Just because first for Luisa's chart, Luisa was showing the astrocartography and showing the area of China. And what she mentioned worried me a little bit. So I would like to share what I told my student well, a bit funny early this year in around early March. And I'm going to share here with you a little bit concerning, to be honest, according Luisa's chart and from this chart too. But first, I mean, it is always interesting to look from, I like to present the chart from the astrocartography. So I'm going to use here. So can you see it?
Yeah.
So this is very interesting. Why Trump always pick up China? Why Trump always pulling on China? Hey, if you look at this chart, very easy, very simple. His Pluto line passed by Beijing. For us, for people who use chart, right? For people who use map, you just say, oh, no wonder. That's it, you know. And here is always something to do between the two sides. Mars line was right on the string, the Taiwan string between China and Taiwan. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. And another thing was also echo what Luisa shows the chart is I also like Lianne says you use it all the time, and Luisa say use the outer planet Ingress. To be honest, because last time when I see the one right before the U.S. Civil War, the Neptune in the Aries one was right on one day before, and then that Uranus was right on the MC. So I was worried a bit to see this one. So I went to see this one for Taipei. Gosh, we have Pluto on IC. Thank you very much. And that was territory, and that was like yes, and that was pretty scary. So when we turned it onto map, and that was like Luisa, when you started, you were sucked into a rabbit hole. You just like bang, fall into it. So you see the map. This is the map, and I was like trying to look at, and I said, oh yes, here. This is Taiwan. This is Taiwan. And the Mars was quite close too. So I was like a little bit worrying. As you panic and paranoid, you start to look at more chart and more map. And so I went to see eclipse chart. Ouch! Mars is right on Taiwan's MC. So there is a theory that although China is well prepared, to be honest, China is well prepared for this trade war, but it will still have an impact to them. And then what if they really couldn't, digest all this kind of, a global financial crash? They have to find a way out. And the easy way out, we all know, is war. Declare the war. And with this chart, together with Neptune Ingress, together with this solar eclipse, I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit concerned. And this is not the only reason, because I'm going to show you something totally freak me out. I don't usually say that. Totally freak me out. So, I use map. So this is solar eclipse map, same map, and this line are the astrocartography line. You can see as we present, Mars is on the MC, Chiron is on descendant, and we have all this, and Pluto is not far. But we know there is another technique called local space, right? And if we use in the mundane astrology, we use local space from different countries' capital. The line will be different because that was present the chart of the capital and go to direction rather than fixed line there. So if I use the different countries' capital, the line is supposed to be different. But something happened very, very strange and very worrying me. This is Beijing. So I use Beijing as a capital and use the solar eclipse local space. I remove all the astrocartography now. So you couldn't see any astrocartography line. You only see local space. You see Mars go to this area. Where is it? Here is Okinawa. Here's Japan, Okinawa. And here is the island belong to Japan, like a fish island, and then, very, very well disputed island between China, Japan, and Taiwan. And also, this would be the deep water port approach Taiwan. So this is shallow water, so submarine couldn't come here. But the submarine can attack Taiwan through here, through east side, because the water is very, very deep. So they can go through here. Okay, so remember this area, and this is belong to Japan. Japan already has a plan. What if here has disaster, what so-called war? What if war happen? They are going to evacuate all people around this island to here, to Kyushu. So this worried me because this is Beijing, Mars line here. I say, well, you know what? Never mind, we can see something else. Here is the astronaut from Washington, D.C. Have you seen very different capital and where Mars line goes? Let's get closer. Then location. And I already had goosebumps when I saw this one because China, United States. And then I tell myself, well, let's see what Japan does. Because that would be the one, because that is on their territory. Japan from Tokyo. I couldn't make it up. Then my student was teasing me. My student was teasing me and said, look, all the other country. I said, I don't want. These 3 countries is enough. These 3 is enough. And my students like, no, come on, have a look. How about the UK? This is from London. This is solar eclipse shot from London. Mars light go to same area. Mars light go to same area. Well, I couldn't make it up because even from Australia. Here we are from Australia. I'm not making this up. If you have like solar fire or astro gold, go to play with it. You will just like I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I'm a bit worrying because either, some people say, could that be, volcano or something? I say, yeah, could be volcano, could be earthquake, could be everything. But the Mars line all go there. Hi, Luisa.
Well, for somebody who also works with the directions, this is pretty amazing because this doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. No, I was so scared because I was in the beginning, I was thinking, my technique mistake. So I check all the location and I check a different line. I say, let me see Jupiter line. Are they go to the same place? No, they go different place. Then I realized that was something. Joli?
Excuse me. I was just going to say that, I think one way, I'm not obviously well trained on local space at all, but Mars is contention, it's strife. Of course we can say war, but from a geopolitical standpoint, I think that the push is more for war along Russian-Ukrainian lines, around Iran. Now I could be wrong, but I think that so I am not speaking so much as astrologically as geopolitically, and that is China is really playing the long game here, and they had originally envisioned that they would become the supreme superpower in 2050. This is now happening 25 years earlier than they anticipated. So I think that whilst they are watching very carefully at what the US is doing vis-a-vis Ukraine and Russia, I think you cannot, so that's informing them vis-a-vis Taiwan, but they're also now having this whole, economic crisis happening. And I think that they're not going to be so willy-nilly about expending resources when they don't need to be so much, right? Like I understand what you're saying. Maybe they need Taiwan as a cushion somehow. But I see that the fact that so many countries have their Mars line going through that particular area, for me, says how important Asia becomes to everybody. It's always been important, but we've always tried to skip by it. Oh, Brexit, EU, I read the other day that somebody said EU was created to screw the USA. This is the kind of discourse that we are getting in America, okay? So we need to really understand the geopolitics of it all. And the American point of view, unfortunately, is not as nuanced as China's is. That's my opinion. But I feel like it, I noticed the Chiron line from Beijing was going through Tokyo. And to me, that was like, if you can get Japan and China to hold hands on something,
Yeah,
that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
that's a great job.
Well, so, but the fact that Chiron is going from Beijing to Tokyo, it's like overcoming that pain point, right? Here's the wound that we are addressing. We have a common enemy now.
Yeah.
Even if we don't say enemy, we're saying that we will be better together against this threat. And you have that Asian, culturally speaking, that Asian thinking, that Confucian thinking, that thinking of collective, right? Asia thinks
Yes, it is.
collectively versus the West. And this is where I feel like maybe part of it also, Mars separates. And maybe the target will be to separate Asia, right? Separate that Asian collectiveness. But I don't know that they're going to be able to fight thousands of years of culture.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, another thing, it could be, it's not only war, but that's one of possibility when you see so many things. And another thing is like a very interesting, before, I think it was the last couple of weeks, right? Last week we say we hear about France just find a more hydrogen or something, right? More hydrogen. Well, maybe they start digging out the gas from under the fish island. That is Mars. That could be Mars. Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, today joining us today. Although we only have six of us, and Liz is not here, Nando is not here, Maria and Grace are not here. But we will see them next week, next month. And then thanks everyone to join me today. And before we finish, I want to say we have the free not free, sorry, donation-based astrocartography course. So please come to join us. Go to visit our website. And also in May, that would be Lianne, me, and Luisa will go to the Portugal for the Portugal conference. And then if you can join us, please come to Porto, join us, and go to visit the Portugal conference website. And also, and also for the AA conference this year will be the end of August. Lianne will be there, and I'll be there. Joli will be there too. So please come to join us. And then thanks everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye. Bye bye.